Yes guys, welcome back to another video, and today I'm going to give you a full breakdown of how I set up my competition prep. So I'm going to show you all the things I have in place in my program to make sure from here until show day I'm doing everything I need to get shredded. It's quite a simple process, and we basically just have to make sure we're ticking all the boxes. So to my right here, the whiteboard is back out. It hasn't been out since my peak week plan last year that I shared with you all on the channel, but I've now written up my full prep plan so that I can share it with you all. So let's get into it. First things first, and to me the most important thing, because it's all right having the diet in place, it's all right having the output in place, but the thing that is going to shape our physique more than anything is the weight training, our training plan throughout the prep. So here is my full training split, and to be honest, it stays exactly the same year round. So this is the same training split that I ran through the off season as I tried to build muscle and get stronger. Now I may switch to basically aiming more to maintain my strength, because it's going to get harder and harder to get stronger throughout a prep. So even though I'll be aiming to beat those numbers at the beginning of the prep, it will get harder and harder. So the training plan stays exactly the same with that split there in place. So as you can see, I'm training legs just once a week. Reason for that being, I'm in men's physique, so the legs aren't on show, just the board shorts to the knee and the calves on show as well. So with that said, that's an area I hit once a week because it is not the priority, and I make sure that that is a good session because I still want good legs, so I make sure that that might be a bit of a higher volume session compared to the other workouts where I do a lot of leg work and they've got a full week to recover. After that is a rest day on a Tuesday. Personally for me, I set up my rest days around my busiest days with work, and therefore the days that it's harder for me to train and where I may be rushing to train. So Tuesday and Friday end up being my rest days. So I'm basically prioritizing my training on the days I have more time. So we'll do push on a Wednesday, pull on a Thursday. So push being chest, shoulders, triceps, and I'll also add abs in on that day as well. The pull session on a Thursday will be back, rear delts, biceps, and I'll actually add calves to that session as well. So calves are getting hit twice a week. After that, Friday, rest day, and then we're going back to push on a Saturday. The push on a Wednesday will be more shoulders first and then chest after, and then I switch it around on this session here and do chest first, and then I do keep the volume higher on the delts even though they're after chest, because that is something that I really want to work on. And then the pull session again is back, rear delts and biceps. The focus on the back workouts ends up being quite even. I had tried to bring up my lats a bit more through the off season, so therefore I'm still doing that now on my training plan. So that's first things first in place, a solid training split. Within those workouts, as I touched on with the delts and the lats, those workouts are set up to me to make sure that I'm working the areas with the right amount of volume to make sure that the physique is being shaped to the men's physique standards, and also to what I need to work on more to bring that perfect men's physique look. So with being 14 weeks out, I still have plenty of time to the show. So this here, the output, is basically what's going to determine how many calories I'm burning. And with wanting to drop body fat, I want to be in a calorie deficit. So alongside what food I'm eating, what else is going to be important is how many calories I'm burning. So at the moment, I'm doing 15,000 steps per day, and at the moment, 0 direct cardio. So the difference being, obviously with steps, it can be done any time in the day, and then at some point I'll add in cardio on machines. I like to go for the stairs usually, so that'll be something that I add in later down the line when my body responds to this, stops dropping body fat, and then I've got room to up things by adding in more cardio. So that would probably be my next move when my body starts to slow down the rate at which it's burning body fat, because your body will adapt at some point. The step count is something that I find so important, because you basically are going to be determined how many calories you're burning through your output throughout the whole day. So it'd be okay to just do 45 minutes cardio, let's say, and my training, but then as I get more and more tired, if I'm not paying attention to how many steps and how much movement I'm doing throughout the whole day, it may become easy to start moving around less and therefore not burning as many calories. So that is something that you do need to track, because you need to keep that consistent, how much movement you are doing throughout the whole day. You're not just going to be burning body fat through a period of time of doing cardio. It's going to be how much you can burn calorie wise throughout a whole day. Moving on to my diet, these are the numbers roughly that I'm at the moment. I do stick to a set meal plan for the most part, so I'm going to share that on the next video in a full day of eating. But at the moment, my training day calories are just at around 2,400, because these numbers are going to dictate the calories overall. Protein, first of all, 240 grams. That is a total amount, so that will also include like tag-along proteins in foods that I don't necessarily see as a protein source, including like the proteins that might be in my oats as an example. But basically 240 grams total. In my carbs, 250 grams. Both of these, both protein and carbs, are 4 calories per gram. So if you add these numbers together, 490, times it by 4, you're then going to get the total calories for that, plus 50 grams of fat. Fats are now going to be 9 calories per gram. So therefore, at 50 grams, that's 450 calories. So if you add these together, the protein and the carbs, times that number by 4, plus the 450 total calories from that, that's going to come to 2,410 calories overall. Nice and simple. Moving on to my rest day. So this is where my calories are actually a little bit lower. And I'm going to go same amount of protein to keep that consistent, drop the carbs slightly when I'm not training, not got as much demand for the muscle glycogen, and then also the fats can therefore come a little bit higher. So then we have the fats at 60 grams, which is going to be 540 calories. Add that to this times 4, we've got 2,300 calories overall. So at the moment, as it stands, this amount of calories alongside this expenditure is causing me to be in a calorie deficit, and therefore I'm getting leaner and the body fat is dropping. At some point, your body will respond and it will start slowing down, and therefore that's when you'll start to make changes to keep the process moving. So that could be to lower the food or to up the expenditure. And like I say, my next move will likely be to start to add in some cardio. As well as this, I like to make sure I'm staying well hydrated, so we need that for a lot of processes in the body, especially so that the muscles can work optimally. A well hydrated muscle will be more efficient in the gym, so that is something we should really stay on top of, is our hydration. At any point, anyone that trains, or anyone in general really, it is very important to keep our bodies hydrated so that they can work optimally. So with that said, I'm doing over 4 litres a day at this point, and that will generally tend to go higher later in the prep. In terms of supplements I'm using, so from USN, I use their pre-workout, which is Kush. I also use the EAA's intra-workout, and then also I'm mixing creatine with that, just so that I'm getting it in at a regular time every day. Creatine, in terms of when you get it in, is not going to be too important, but by adding it to my intra-workout, I know that I'll remember to get it in every day and keep to the same amount of that. In terms of where I'm at currently at 14 weeks out, I started prep at 77 kilos. My lowest weight last year before Worlds, before carving up, went down 67.5 kilos. Before the British finals, I was a little bit heavier than that, and it was 6 weeks later, and I did drop a little bit more. Current body weight at 14 weeks out is at the moment 74.5, so you can see it's been dropping since the beginning of prep, and that will continue to come down from here each week. Personally, I like to aim for around half a kilo of body weight per week. I think that is an amount that makes it slow and steady. And alongside that, I've learned from previous years, if that's roughly my aim, then I maintain strength in the gym, performance in the gym. Later in the prep, I'll start to feel tired, of course, when body fat levels drop more and more, but I find that a good rate of loss for me, and everything with that said is on point at the moment. Okay, let's go through this bottom corner here, and I want to cover some other areas that are worth noting alongside the important stuff that we've just been through. So, stretching, that is something that I like to do every day. Basically, just to keep the body, again, working optimally. I don't like to feel too stiff. I like to make sure that everything's getting a good stretch. And also, I want to stay injury free. And I think that is very, very important to keep the range of mobility up in all areas of the body. And I feel great after a good stretch as well. Alongside that, I like to get regular massage work done for pretty much the same reasons really. Any niggles I have, any tight areas, that's going to help with that as well. So previous to this video, I did do a video at the end of my off season where I introduced you to Jonathan, who is my regular massage guy that I go to, and at this point in prep I like to go and see him every 3 weeks. The most important thing on stage is going to be our posing. Posing is something I do in every workout, maybe between sets, but definitely at the end, if not between the sets as well. Something that needs to be worked on regularly, even in men's physique. So men's physique, the posing, I would admit, is a lot easier than other categories where they have a lot more poses to hit. Ours are a lot more relaxed, but it's something that I work on every workout because I want to make sure it's flawless on stage, because that's going to give me the ability to shine on stage as well. I've done all of this hard work with the training, with the diet, with the output, getting the steps in every day. Why would I not make sure that my posing on point? So anyone that does want to get on stage as well as getting shredded, make sure you're working on your posing consistently and hitting the right poses for your category. Another important one is going to be your mindset. Every prep is mentally challenging in different ways. You're going to get challenges maybe in your personal life or your work, career life that are going to throw you off from time to time. So you are literally going to have to be resilient to whatever you're going through and make sure you're ticking all the boxes that we've mentioned before and getting everything done. You may also struggle with a little bit of anxiety. You're putting your whole life basically into a result on stage and something that you're out of control of. So something I've learned over the years is that I do need to focus on my mindset on a day-to-day basis to make sure I stay in as positive a place as possible. So the ways that I do this: I love to go for walks and get my steps in. For one, I feel like getting outdoors for walks is always going to help with your mindset and just getting out and keeping moving. Second to this, I also do write in a journal every day because I like to keep aware of how I'm feeling. It's very easy when you're busy day to day to just let your mind wander and not reflect on why it's having the thoughts that you're having, and then also taking the time to just break those thoughts down and just put them in as positive a place as possible. So if something starts to creep in that makes me feel a little bit anxious, I might just have a little word with myself, have a sit down, writing in my journal, acknowledge that I'm feeling that way and why I'm feeling that way, and then what steps do I need to take to make sure that those thought processes are a lot more positive and I'm feeling better going into the days ahead. Another thing that is going to affect your mindset are the things that you consume, in terms of what are you watching? What are you reading? Who are you listening to? So for me personally, I like to listen to podcasts. I like to read books, whether it's books on psychology, whether it's books from athletes who I find inspiring, just things that, you know, motivate me and inspire me. I think one last thing to touch on here would be what mistakes I see people make and also common myths around all of the things that I've just discussed. Going back to the training, the mistake I see people make is people changing their training. What built the muscle is going to keep it. If you're lifting hard and heavy in the off season and that is building new muscle, why would you change it when you're trying to retain as much muscle as possible? People often say, okay, I'm cutting now, I'm going to do lighter weights, more reps. No. Stick to the same training program. You've got all your numbers set, you know how strong you are. Now your goal is to maintain that muscle by maintaining that strength and working that same training plan. Very often people want to change things when they do not need to be changed. The body fat element and dropping body fat is going to be dictated by the diet and the output that you burn from your cardio, from your steps, not by what you're doing on the weights in the gym. That stays the same, and you dictate getting leaner by how many calories you're burning throughout a whole day and how many calories you're consuming throughout a whole day. Second of all, let's go to the output and the diet all as one. And the common mistake I see made here is people panicking and changing things too soon. So they think they're not getting leaner and they start to change everything. Then they end up either doing cardio too high, steps too high, or food way too low, or maybe even both. Do not panic. So what I do is I weigh myself every single day and then I calculate an average for the week. And generally I will see that drop slightly, like I say, around the half a kilo mark. If that hasn't dropped, again, I do not panic, because if I can see visually that I'm getting leaner, Maybe it's not shown on the scales yet, but I do not need to panic at any point. I give myself more time for this reason during a prep. This is why I do a longer prep, so that I'm not going to come to sticking points and start to panic that I'm not going to be ready in time. Always get yourself ahead, do not panic, and eventually you'll start to see over a longer period of time, if the scales aren't moving and you're not looking visually leaner, that might be the time to make a slight change. But at any sign, initially, that it's not moving, just be a little bit patient for a few days, maybe a week, and then you may want to make the changes. But please, please, please do not be dropping your food way too low, because that's going to affect your performance in the gym. If your performance in the gym is then affected, you are going to risk losing muscle. So you need to be patient throughout this process. And if that's not something you can do yourself, that is where a good coach will come in. Going down to the bottom and the supplement, the mistakes I see made here, and I've actually realized through this that I've missed out a very important point in all of this. Pre-workout, for example, has got caffeine in. Now you need to be careful with your caffeine consumption and when you have it in the day, because one of the most important factors, not just throughout a prep, but through the off season as well and through your progress at any point, is going to be your sleep. Sleep is literally the king, so I don't know why I've missed it out on here, to be honest, because I preach it all the time. The latest I'll have caffeine generally will be 2-3 p.m. and then generally by the time I go to bed, I'm fine to fall asleep. But I do see people taking caffeine in the evening, and to be honest, the benefits that caffeine is going to have by having it before training in the evening is probably going to be less than the benefit of getting a good night's sleep. So if you're having the caffeine before you train late in the evening and not sleeping, you'd have been better off not having the caffeine, training without it, and having a good night's sleep. Make sure sleep is on point. There we pretty much have it, the important things to focus on during a competition prep, or even if you just want to get shredded, are having your training plan set, staying nice and strong, having your cardio and your steps both set up to a point where alongside the diet you're going to be in a slight calorie deficit to drop slow and steady. And then also around that setup, please do not panic. Take things slowly. You're not in a rush to get in shape because you've set yourself up well for your off season, and then from there you can just aim to tick those boxes regularly and make the slow, subtle changes throughout the prep as you go. I'll be sharing more on this channel of my journey, so you will find out how often I change things and also at what points I change things. But the most important things, solid training, good amount of output, a good quality diet. I'm going to do a full day of eating on that also, and then making sure you're well hydrated, recovering well through all of these aspects here, and sleeping well as well. That is going to give you the best possible chance of making sure that you can get your physique to an optimally shredded level, ready for the stage, or if you just want to get shredded in general. So I'm going to wrap this video up with a key point, that if you are ticking all of these boxes, you're training hard, your output's well balanced, your diet's on point, high quality foods, which I'm going to share on the full day of eating, you can get in outstanding shape completely natural. We just have to make sure that all of these boxes are being ticked and that we are immaculate in everything, and then it's from this that you'll be able to see physiques that get in incredible shape 100% naturally. That being said, I'm 14 weeks out, and I've got a pro debut to come with the World Natural Bodybuilding Federation. At this point, I'm very excited for it. I'm enjoying this whole process. So if you've liked this video and it's helped you in some way, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to follow along to the journey to my pro debut and you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. I'm looking forward to sharing more. As I've said, the next video will be a full day of eating, so I'll show you my complete meal plan to hit these numbers, and from there we'll be getting deeper and deeper into prep and getting more and more shredded. The cheeks will probably be coming in more, the vascularity will be coming in more, the shredded striations will be coming in more under this top. So make sure you're subscribed, make sure you tune into the next video. Thanks for watching this one. I'll see you all soon.